I have been saying for days now, this is the greatest revocation of our civil rights in modern American history. And it just keeps going, you know? I keep referring to a trend that isn't over. You know, I'm basically I'm still climbing the mountain here, and I'm like, yeah, this is the most up I've ever gone as I put, you know, another hand up on the grip. There was a Supreme Court ruling, you're not gonna believe it, a 6-3 ruling, um which well, ruled in favor of the First Amendment right of private citizens to express their interest in prayer at a public event. I'll explain, because there's a little bit of rhetorical trickery going on here. Um, Basically, what happened here? Okay, I'll set the scene. We'll set the stage. Should I ramble about it, or should I just read the article? No, I'll ramble about it. What are you here for? Me? Here's the gist. Okay, you've got a football coach at a high school. All right, and this guy, whenever the game's done, he loves to pray. Pray right there at the 50-yard line, okay? Right there in the middle of the field. This guy loves the attention, you know? He encourages students to join him. He kind of, you know, hey, get on over here, you know, in group shit. He wants, you know, there's an audience watching this. Very performative. In fact, if I scroll down here in the article, apparently this guy is such an attention whore. Um, Let me see. He later invited journalists and a state legislator to watch. Wow. Man loves his praying, loves his quiet act of devotion to God truly is a spectacle that he is doing for political purposes. We know. Anyway, that asking journalists, you know, that asking a state legislator, that happened after the school asked him to stop doing what he was doing. See, there's an issue with teachers uh doing prayer in their capacity as a teacher for reasons that I think should be pretty obvious, but for a long time in this country, but you know, especially prior to this fucking cats, man. Look, the gist of it is simple. If teachers are allowed to lead prayer at school, you create in groups and out groups. In groups of Christians, usually fundamentalists, who are devout and aggressive. It forces ostracization on those who are the out group, because they don't participate in the prayer. You have events that are contingent upon participation in the prayer. You know, you kind of ostracize those other people. Imagine what it must have been like in a school in the 40s or 50s in the South to be a Jew, you know? And you have everyone in that school. And by the way, anti-Semitism in America, not at all hidden or you know, subtle or inconspicuous, especially in those days, still today, but especially then, you know. Imagine you have people there who are agnostic or atheist or non-Christian or whatever. They don't participate in this group prayer being led by a teacher that almost everyone else is participating in. And then what happens after that, you know? It participates in ostracization. It's honestly, I think, quite terrifying. You know, you can read accounts from back in the day of what it would do to the school environment, to have like this Christian majority using the authority of the state, using their power as a teacher to control the social space, to sort of explicitly bring about an environment of ostracization. Now, I think that makes sense to anyone who hasn't like been dropped on their head as a kid. I think that makes sense kind of intuitively, right? The reason why this case is unique, though, is because in order to arrive at the ruling they did, the 6-3 majority had to lie. And I want to show this here, okay? But Sotomayor wrote in her dissent, which she'd been writing many of lately, to the degree the court portrays petitioner Joseph Kennedy's prayers as private and quiet, it misconstrues the facts. That's right. The ruling in the 6-3 decision was that Joseph Kennedy's First Amendment rights to a private and quiet expression of their religious beliefs was violated when he was let go by the school district. The record reveals that Kennedy had a long-standing practice of conducting demonstrative prayer on the 50-yard line of the football field. Kennedy consistently invited others to join in his prayers and for years led student athletes in prayer at the same time and location. The court ignored this history. That's right. This coach, acting explicitly as a coach for years, publicly gathering together students that they, as a coach, taught was described by the 6-3 majority as a private expression of his First Amendment rights. They had to lie to arrive at their conclusion. The court also ignores the severe disruption to school events caused by Kennedy's conduct. Kennedy became an assistant coach of the varsity football team at Bremerton High School in 2008 and later began offering a brief prayer on the field after games ended and the players and coaches met midfield to shake hands. The school district eventually told him he should find a private location to pray. See, they don't have a problem with his private expression of his religious beliefs. They have a problem with him dropping to one knee on the 50-yard line of the football field while everyone is still there, and as a coach of one of the two teams, trying to lead a prayer for his students. But he declined and continued his practice of dropping to one knee and praying on the 50-yard line. He later invited journalists and a state legislator to watch, making a political show of it. Again, not at all a private or personal expression of religious belief. This is being done very openly, very publicly as a coach for the benefit of, political grandstanding. The district gave him a poor performance evaluation. Yeah, no shit, somebody like this is a bad coach. And he did not apply to renew his contract after the 2015 football season. Kennedy sued, claiming violation of his right to free expression and religious freedom. That's right. He wasn't even fired. He just didn't renew his contract after being held in low standing by the school district. He sued because he was asked to not hold his prayer at the 50-yard line. That's the only action that was taken against him that he was litigious towards. Not because he was fired for it, not because he couldn't express his religious beliefs at all, but because the school asked him, a request he denied, to stop doing it at the 50-yard line. Lower federal courts said that because he chose to say his prayers in such a prominent place, he was acting as a public employee and his conduct was therefore not protected by the First Amendment. Yes, right there. Those rulings cited past Supreme Court decisions, because the Supreme Court has ruled on this before, that said when public employees act in their official capacities, they are speaking more for the government than for themselves. Like, yeah, obviously, that makes sense, right? When he's acting as a coach right after a game, dropping to one knee on the 50-yard line to lead his students in prayer, you're acting as a coach, aka as an envoy of the state, as a public teacher. Former Vice President Mike Pence praised the ruling. Americans of faith do not turn their devotion on and off like a light switch, and we must reject any attempt by the government to control private religious expression. Again, look at this. Private religious expression. They have to lie about the facts of the case. Especially those who call on their faith when answering the call to participate in public service. Nonprofit conservative advocacy group filed. Katie Joseph, Director of Policy, says the decision dismantles decades of progress. Exploiting his position of authority, Coach Joseph Kennedy pushed players to participate in prayer in the middle of the field immediately after games, Joseph said. This was no private expression of devotion, as he and his lawyers claimed. Instead, Mr. Kennedy forced students to choose between their religious freedom and being part of the team, an agonizing decision that no student should ever be forced to confront. Kennedy now lives in Florida, but has said that if the Supreme Court ruled in his favor, he would return to Bremerton and seek to regain his job as a part-time football coach. It was all a political stunt. He wasn't even fired. He quit. And he's like, yeah, dude, if I just happen to get, like, church separation from state revoked in the U.S., then yeah, I'll go back. I would not be surprised if this guy was acting on behalf of a conservative think tank or advocacy group. Like, yeah, dude, take the fall for us, We'll handle the funds for the lawsuit that will appeal all the way up to the Supreme Court, We'll be providing all the bedrock that we need to turn this into, like, a giant revocation of civil rights and a step towards theocracy. You just need to be, like, the guy that sets it in motion. 100%. There's no fucking way this random high school part-time coach was just like, yeah, let me just carry the legal action all the way to the Supreme Court, appealing after lower courts consistently ruled in line with Supreme Court precedent, stating that what I did was not a private act of devotion, but rather a public. The cats are losing their minds today, I swear to God. I don't think they're breaking anything, though. Anyway, yeah, there's one other bit here that I think is particularly indicative of the dishonesty present in the ruling of the 6-3 majority. Here we go. Both the free exercise and free speech clauses of the First Amendment protect expressions like Mr. Kennedy's, Justice Neil Gorsuch wrote in the majority opinion. Nor does a proper understanding of the amendment's establishment clause require the government to single out private religious speech for special disfavor. The Constitution and the best of our traditions counsel mutual respect and tolerance. This sounds like it's straight out of a PragerU video. Mutual respect and tolerance, implying that what the school did to him was intolerance by asking him to not lead prayer as an employee acting publicly in the middle of the field. Not censorship and suppression, right out of a Sargon of Akkad video right here. Censorship and suppression because the school asked him to stop leading prayer as a coach, and he was like, no, lol. And then nothing happened. For religious and non-religious views alike. And then the end right here, where the state, well, not the state, sorry, Gorsuch is equating religious and non-religious views, when non-religious views should be the secular basis of the government's operation. Religious and non-religious views are not equal in a secular government, actually. The non-religious views are those of the government. The religious views are those the government allows and tolerates. But this language right here equates the two as equal bases for ruling and governmental decision-making. You understand? So technically, because the conservative majority had to lie about the facts of this case, it is still not constitutional for a teacher to lead their class in prayer, because the people here lied about the facts of the case. What they're actually doing is indicating that basically anything you do as a public teacher is a private expression of your religious belief, even if it involves you acting in the capacity of a teacher. You understand? So technically, acting as a public employee in leading prayer, still unconstitutional. But acting as a private citizen, which apparently this includes, constitutional. The logical extension of this, yes, teachers can hold prayers in class, and it will be treated by the Supreme Court as a private expression of their religious freedom, even if they are petitioning students to join them. That is the logical extension of what is happening here. They are framing public expressions of religious belief as private expressions, essentially saying there's no real difference between acting in the capacity of a teacher and doing something personally while just happening to be on duty as a teacher. Doesn't this make the ruling illegitimate? Yeah, go explain that to them. Oh yeah, I saw this as well. Clarence Thomas may revisit media libel precedent, aka they want to make it easier to sue journalists who report on what conservatives do. The same thing that Trump did. They want to. This is literally weakening First Amendment protections. It's all backsliding so quickly. You might note, by the way, an interesting contradiction on how the Republican Party will treat taking a knee at the 50-yard line as a coach in the middle of a game, or like right after a game, leading people in prayer is a private expression of religious belief, but casually acknowledging that you're gay to your middle school class as a teacher is using your platform as a teacher to indoctrinate students into the gay lifestyle. There is no such thing as a private expression of homosexuality or transness to a conservative, because those things are degenerate social pollutants. They are aware there is a such thing as a public expression of religious beliefs, but they will pretend not to if it advances their political aims. Yes, they want you dead. They are advancing us towards a theocratic Christian nationalist state. Isn't this illegal? Nope. The Supreme Court can do literally whatever it wants. They are an unelected group of wizards that have infinite power. It's essentially not a joke. Checks and balances really don't apply to them. They are the checks and balances. They are the law. That's not a joke. They are. That's kind of their job. They're the final say. They're the ones who get to rule on the interpretation of the Constitution and whether or not laws, through judicial review, are abiding by them. Now, don't get me wrong, there are things that you can do to check them. You can appoint new Supreme Court justices. Of course, Delano Roosevelt did this to bully the Supreme Court out of declaring his Social Security plan unconstitutional. You can also impeach them. Impeaching them requires, I believe, a supermajority in the Senate, which will never happen. I'm pretty sure in order to appoint new Supreme Court justices, you literally just need to appoint more. You just need to table them on the Senate, and then you just need a majority to vote in favor of them. Which is much more approachable, you know. Just the 100-man strong they then army. That's not a very good long-term solution, though, because the Democrats' hold over the Senate is tenuous and is probably going to get less reliable with time as the, as blue states become havens for people who don't want to live under a theocracy. More people will move out of the many, many Midland red states. You know, you have every South Dakota with 400,000 people is going to have the same number of senators as a California with 50 million people, because the Senate is basically just like a legislative body that got district by like at random. Can you imagine if anyone was like, yeah, I've district this area, check it out, and they had some districts that have 300,000 people and some that have 50 million? That's fair. We consolidated all of the like 200 million coastal citizens into like 6 states, and the remaining 44 of them just have like 5 people each of them. So yeah, super cool. Dems have controlled the Senate way more reliably than the House because of gerrymandering. I love gerrymandering as long as it's for us. We're like super at this point, like the Republicans are basically like staring at us while like grinding an axe on a like a grind wheel. You know what I mean? Like they're looking at us with like the fucking Kubrick stare while sharpening an axe on those like step wheels that lumberjacks use. I don't give a fuck if Dems gerrymander. They're pussies, so they won't. I don't give a fuck what they do. I simply do not care. We're literally like 2 weeks into the Supreme Court bonanza, and we've lost like 50 rights. The federal agents no longer being able to be sued directly, like the border agent stuff. The Miranda rights, cops can no longer be sued for not telling you your Miranda rights. That's like the whole thing. Yeah, that Gestapo bullshit. You know, you have Roe v. Wade, of course. You have this with the private prayer. You have the recent thing with a school in Maine where they determine taxpayers have to pay for like private religious schools as well. Like everything, like just in no time at all, just completely getting, yeah, bowled over. Can they be committed for perjury at the trial here? No, they can't. Anyone who's saying they can be committed for perjury, listen, if they get committed for perjury by misrepresenting their views on Roe v. Wade during their Supreme Court appointment, hearings, that's not like a legal thing to do. That would just be exercising like political power over them. So I don't care. I don't really care if it's legal or not. Everything that is possible must be done to slow them down and waste their time. Unironically, if you had some of the Supreme Court justices who are being dragged away from their job to answer to a bunch of like bullshit legal claims being thrown their way, that would slow down the speed with which they could make rulings that would like revoke our civil rights. I don't care, you know. Also, it's literally what they do to us. Like, yeah, wasting time with like slap lawsuits or like trying to gum up the works with a bunch of bullshit claims. We are not going to lose our grip on democracy because we're not willing to engage in 1/50th of the slimy bullshit that they engage in. I will engage in 100% of the slimy bullshit that is necessary. You know, I do not care. I am pro slimy bullshit if it preserves democracy. No one will ever celebrate the people who, after democracy falls, were like, all right, well, you know, yeah, we lost our democracy, but like we kept our principles intact to the end, you know? We were very civil, we followed the rules the entire way, and frankly, I think that counts for something. No, it doesn't. No. Nah. No. Nah, no, 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 nah, no. No, 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 no. Yeah, when they go low, we go low. We're both just sucking each other's dicks. We're going low. Holy shit, there are 10k people here. Hi, what's up? If you don't sub to my channel, you're a Republican. The greatest insult I can offer on this channel. Hit the goddamn sub button. I always thought the Supreme Court was the weakest branch. I never could have imagined. The Supreme Court is by far the weakest branch if they're following the rules. If the Supreme Court is actually being, like exercising temperance, being moderate, reviewing constitutional law, being thoughtful, the Supreme Court is not a very influential organization for the most part, and not generally. I mean, like, of course they're influential. It's one of the three major branches of the federal government. I'm not saying they're not. I just mean, like, relative to what the executive and legislative branches can do, they pop in the news less often. However, when they decide to go Joker mode and they start dabbing on precedent, the Supreme Court can do literally fucking anything. Let's break up the blue states into smaller gerrymandered blue states. That's the only hope, okay? What we need to do is we need to simply break up California, Oregon, and Washington into, like, perfectly districted, like, 73 states, all of them blue, Make the Supreme, like, have them have to remodel the Senate building just to accommodate all the new seats. Have them add scaffolding so some chairs can hang from the ceiling so they can pack all those people in there. Just have every bit of legislation that goes through be like a complete no-brainer, Like, Republicans are out there on the news, they're like, this isn't fair, they have 587 senators, we don't have a chance. Then it, like, cuts to, like, the Senate floor, all in favor of the Green New Deal, and the sound of the eyes and the smacking of the tables just, like, drowns out the fucking audio of the camera, Just a fucking shockwave. Absolutely. Expand the House to 435 is arbitrary and changeable. Yeah, but if they change the number of seats in the House, they would have to change... No, wait. The website's name is 538. Never mind. I'm stupid. I know it's electors, not... Sorry. I got mixed up. It's the electors, not the House members. Thomas Jefferson said there should be 20,000 people to a representative. Yeah, that's, I don't know if that would be applicable today. How many, got 300 million people in the country. So that's 50 to a million. That'd be 1,500 representatives. You know what? Fuck it. Sure. 1,500 representatives. Sure. I don't care. Yeah. Why can't we institute a direct democracy and have 300 million people gather in D.C.? We just need to put every single political issue imaginable to referendum. Not just law, but also policy. We need to just everything. Get it out there. Won't work because of civil rights? Well, it won't work because it's a stupid idea. You can't have policy done by referendum. You really think the average citizen is going to have a coherent opinion on the exact, like, level of acceptable carbon emissions per square foot of business space? Or, like, the, which of the hundreds of thousands of species in America, like, deserve federal protection? Like, nah, probably not. Need to leave that to policy. Policy done by the branches of the executive. Yeah? Okay, alright, whatever. My family started pulling the "we're not a democracy, we're a constitutional republic" meme. Is it time to smash with rock? Dude, that's the biggest fucking cope from Republicans. When Republicans say that, what they mean in their head is, we believe this country should be a fascist dictatorship in our favor, but they don't know what the words mean. Constitutional republic? A republic and a democracy aren't mutually exclusive, and a constitution is just the ruling document. It's not... I've heard this so many times, it doesn't mean anything. Constitutional republic means that the Constitution is the ruling document, not at all unique to the United States at all. There are plenty of constitutions. It's not a proper noun. We call it the Constitution, but a constitution is like a regular thing that's all over the place, And a republic is just a republic with delegated responsibilities and officials. That's part of a democracy. Republics are almost always democracies. Not always. But, like, they're not... Nothing here... And we also are a democracy. It's very explicitly laid out. You can't technicality your way around that. The Constitution, in Constitutional Republic, describes our democracy. Again, when they say shit like that, what they mean is, we believe it's acceptable to subvert democracy when it leads to our political power being bolstered.